That was Body and Soul, a beautiful song, fun to play. Before I get into the teaching aspect, I'd like to tell a story behind this song. I was sitting in at a dive bar on 41st Street and 8th Avenue called the Savoy, and Frank West came in and played Body and Soul. Frank's solo was the culmination of 40 years of playing, and I thought it was absolutely perfect and beautiful. Frank got off the bandstand and said to me, "Aren't you going to play on this?" And I said, "What for?" I still struggle with tunes like Body and Soul, Stardust, and the like that are so beautiful and complete that they hardly require a solo. The first thing I'd like to look at is the chords of this song against the melody. And I'll cover some substitution ideas as we go along. The easiest way to do this is to go 2 bars at a time. I start with a Dexter Gordon quote, partly because he was such a melodic player, ripe with ideas and the use of motifs, but also because the tenor player thinks a little different from the trumpeter, and I always appreciated that. A couple places in the 3rd and 4th bar are not actually melody notes. In the 3rd bar, the B over the A-flat 7 should be a C, but it sounds great being the sharp 9th of A-flat 7. On the F-sharp diminished in the 4th bar, I am playing a C-sharp as opposed to a C sometimes, the actual melody note. This note is not in an F-sharp diminished scale, but fits well over an F-sharp 7 or an F minor 7, a substitute chord for the F-sharp diminished chord. In soloing, in place of what's in the 3rd and 4th bars, the E-flat major 7 to A-flat to G minor 7 to F diminished, I've heard played as E-flat major 7 to A-flat minor 7 to G minor 7 to F-sharp minor 7. But this is best for soloing and doesn't match the melody well. On the last bar of the first A section, just before letter A, on the C7 flat 9, I'm actually playing a G half diminished to C7 flat 9, starting with a pickup of an F sharp. This is something mainstream players and bebop players do a lot. They'll add the 2 minor to a dominant chord for movement. Then you have in the 2nd A section, starting at letter A, F minor 7 to C7 flat 9 for a bar. Then F minor 7 to E7. The E7 is a fun release for me, as it is the tritone of the chord before it, kind of. Think of the F minor 7 as a B flat 7, the 5 dominant, and the E7 upper structure is B, D, and F sharp, or B minor, the 2 minor. So a standard line for a B flat 7 containing the tritone sub would be something like this. The bridge, I pretty much play the melody with a few flourishes. At letter C in the 2nd bar, again on the E7, I am thinking of B minor 7, or the 2 minor of E7. On the 4th bar, over the F sharp diminished, I play the real melody note now, the C natural, just to prove to you that I know it. The F minor 7 in the next bar begins with a quote from "It Isn't Fair for You to Taunt Me," which I remember seeing Billy Eckstine sing when I was a youngster. The solo actually starts 2 bars before letter B, on the flat 5th of a G half diminished, on the note of C sharp. When I get down to the note of E, I arpeggiate up a diminished chord playing E, G, B flat, and C sharp. This is something I learned in Barry Harris's Jazz Cultural Theater classes many years ago. If you have a dominant flat 9 chord, like a C7 flat 9, and start on the third, the E, you can arpeggiate up on a diminished chord, and your fourth note, the C sharp, will be the flat 9th. The notes I play on the C sharp flat 9 and the first bar of the solo at letter D are interesting and really spell out the chord. G sharp, G, E, C sharp, and C. The notes G sharp and C sharp add flavor to the notes G, E, and C, which are the fifth, third, and root, respectively, of a C chord. In the next two bars over the E flat to A flat 7, I'm pretty much thinking B flat 7 to G minor 7 to C7 flat 9, a substitution for F sharp diminished. The next two bars over the F minor to F minor over E flat, I'm using a triad pair, A flat in root position and then B flat in first inversion, triads running up, and F minor and playing a quick D half diminished 7 to G7. Two bars before letter E is a motif from my book, Modern Patterns and Warm-Ups for Jazz, based on a C minor major 7, and the same motif on an F minor major 7, and it concludes with a whole tone line from my book. So I'm looking at the C7 flat 9 as a G minor major 7, and then starting my line on the major 7th, that being F sharp. Two bars before the bridge, I am merely playing a quote in something Sonny Rollins often did to amuse himself and hopefully the audience. The first two bars of letter F follow the chord changes perfectly. The next two bars are a pattern from my book, A Lyrical Approach to Jazz Improvising. In the book, it is in the key of D, and I just play it one step higher in E major. I'm going to play this turnaround as I played it in my solo on the video. This is based on a B7. It's a nice line. It starts on the root of B and ends on the root of B. Sometimes I'll put some pickups in front of it, a D sharp and a C sharp. And you should be able to play it in any key, like this. Then it's followed in the next two bars by a line over an E minor 7 and using the 3 minor, an F sharp minor arpeggio with an extra note, the B, over the A7. On the F diminished, I choose to play an F sharp half diminished to B7, and it leads nicely to the E minor 7 in the next bar. Now, on the last two bars of the bridge, there is an E minor 7, and again on the A7, I'm starting a line starting on the third of A7, the note C sharp, and I arpeggiate up a diminished arpeggio and resolve to the note A, the root of the chord, the A7. The last bar of the bridge is interesting, and with the lines underneath the notes you can see how my thoughts are divided, as each phrase does not end precisely on a downbeat or an upbeat. The D7 has a D triad and an A triad in it. The C-sharp 7 I think of more in terms of an F-sharp line, ending on the 5, the 3rd, and the root of a G-sharp minor. The next line contains an E-flat 7, which is an upper structure that can be used over a C7. The last line is an F-sharp minor line that Freddie Hubbard used in the tune Body and Soul. Not to be plagiaristic, I just borrow a piece of Freddie's line. The last A section is similar to the first two A sections, so I'll just let you enjoy the solo from there through the cadenza. Thanks for watching. It's fun to look at a song like Body and Soul and study the many ways of exploring this beautiful ballad. If you have any questions or comments, don't hesitate to ask in the comments section below. Also, feel free to subscribe to my channel for updates on my newest jazz video lessons.